Some stories stay with you, not because they're full of blood, not because there's a monster hiding in the dark, but because they feel real, because they could happen to anyone, anywhere. They start on ordinary nights, in places you've been before, a hallway mirror, a quiet room, a lonely road, and they start small, a sound, a shadow, a feeling, but then something shifts, something doesn't make sense, and by the time you notice, it's too late. The 4 stories you're about to hear aren't made up. They were shared by real people, people who remember what happened, because they never stopped being haunted by it. So get comfortable, turn off the lights, silence your phone, and listen closely, because the scariest stories aren't the ones in movies. They're the ones that hide in the quiet parts of life and remind you that not everything can be explained. These really happened, and they could happen again. Maybe to you. Story 1. The Girl in the Mirror. Approximate 1,000 words. When I was 14, I moved into a new house with my mom after her divorce. It was an older home, 2 stories, creaky floors, and a huge mirror in the upstairs hallway. You couldn't miss it. It faced the stairs and stretched from floor to ceiling. I always felt weird around it, like I was being watched when I walked by. But I never told my mom. She had enough to deal with. Then things started happening. Small things at first. I'd walk past the mirror and think I saw a shadow move behind me. But when I turned around, there was nothing. Sometimes I'd see a flicker of a smile that wasn't mine. One night, I got up to pee around 3 a.m. I walked past the mirror, eyes half closed, and I saw her. A girl, my age, maybe younger, standing inside the mirror, not reflecting me. She wore a white nightgown, her hair long and tangled. Her eyes were wide, but there were no pupils, just gray. She wasn't mimicking me. She was watching me. I screamed, woke the whole house. My mom ran out, confused and angry. I told her what I saw. She looked exhausted. "It's just a dream," she said. But I knew it wasn't. I avoided that hallway for weeks. Then, one evening, I dropped a glass of water. It rolled across the floor toward the mirror. I hesitated, then bent to pick it up. As I looked up, she was there again, closer, smiling. I stepped back, and she reached up inside the mirror and placed her hand where mine had been. I never screamed, just ran. My mom finally believed me when she saw the handprint on the outside of the mirror. We moved 6 months later. I haven't seen her since. But sometimes, in hotel mirrors or department stores, I swear I feel that same cold stare. When Rachel invited me to spend the summer at her grandparents' cabin, I was all in. No school, no phones, just nature, junk food, late-night talks. What more could we want? The cabin was gorgeous, old but cozy, tucked away deep in the woods where the air felt different, like time moved slower there. There was only one weird thing about it. A tiny wooden door at the very end of the upstairs hallway. It was shorter than a normal door, maybe shoulder height, and always locked. I asked Rachel what was inside. She shrugged. "It's always been locked. Grandpa says it's the troll's room." We laughed, thinking it was just one of those old man jokes. But I couldn't help noticing something strange. Every morning, the area around the door looked off. The dust on the floor would be disturbed, like someone had walked right up to it and then back away. Once, I noticed the doorknob turned just slightly, like it hadn't been fully closed. No one else seemed to notice. Then, one night around 2 in the morning, I woke up to a sound. Scratching. Light, slow, like nails dragging across wood. It was coming from the hallway. I sat up, listening. Rachel was snoring quietly, dead asleep. I whispered her name, but she didn't stir. So I got up and crept into the hallway. The sound was louder now, definitely coming from the locked door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then it stopped. I leaned in closer. That's when I heard 3 knocks. Not aggressive, not loud, just intentional. Knock, knock, knock. I froze. My skin crawled. My heart was beating so hard I thought it would shake the floor. Then I heard the doorknob slowly turn. That was it. I ran straight back to the bedroom. I jammed a chair under the doorknob and didn't sleep a second. The next morning, everything looked fine again. Door shut, handle straight, but the hallway smelled different, like something had rotted in the walls. Moldy and metallic, thick enough to make your stomach turn. I told Rachel what happened. She didn't believe me, said I had a nightmare. But the next night we both heard it. The scratching, the knocks. We stayed up together, huddled on the couch in the living room with all the lights on. We played music loud enough to cover the sounds, but we could still feel them. In our chests, in the walls. We spent the rest of the week sleeping downstairs. We never spoke about it again. 2 years later, Rachel's grandfather passed away. Her parents inherited the cabin. They decided to renovate it and finally open the locked door. What they found still makes me sick. There was a room behind it, small, empty, covered in dust. But on the inside of the door were claw marks, dozens of them, deep, splintered, as if something had been trapped inside, and trying, desperately, to get out. When I moved into my first apartment, I didn't have high expectations. It was cheap, small, and a little run down. The paint on the walls was peeling, the kitchen faucet dripped constantly, and the heat barely worked in winter. But it was mine. The place had charm in that old building, creaky floorboard kind of way. The only real downside? The basement. It was exactly what you'd expect from a century-old building. Low ceilings, flickering lights, and the constant sound of water dripping somewhere unseen. Pipes crisscrossed the ceiling like veins. And in the very back corner, hidden behind an ancient boiler, was the laundry room. It always felt off down there. Too quiet, too still. But rent was cheap, so I dealt with it. I'd usually throw on headphones, blast music or a podcast, and get laundry done as fast as possible. But one night, I forgot my headphones upstairs. I figured no big deal. I'd be in and out. The silence felt louder than usual that night. Heavy, like the basement was holding its breath. But when we got back to the truck, there was a handprint on the inside of the passenger window. Small, but the fingers were too long, too thin, almost inhuman. My dad didn't talk for the rest of the night. Just drove, fast, eyes on the road. A few days later, he looked up missing persons cases in the area. He found one. A girl, 20 years old, went missing in 1997. Last seen walking barefoot along that same stretch of highway. Her name was Emily. They never found her body. And apparently, we weren't the first to see her. Other truckers have reported a girl on that road. Same age, same dress, same strange quietness. Some say she's looking for a ride home. Others say she doesn't know she's dead, and she keeps trying to leave the place where she died. But she never can. Outro, approximate. 300 to 400 words. Narrator soft, slow. Some horror lives in the shadows. Some in the mirrors, behind the walls, on forgotten highways. But sometimes it follows us. From a cabin in the woods, a whisper in the dark, or a face you saw once and can't forget. These weren't just stories. They were warnings. Because the scariest thing about these moments isn't the blood or the screams. It's the silence. The stillness right before something happens. The part where you're not sure if what you saw was real. That cold breath on your neck when no one is behind you. The knock on the window when you live 10 stories up. The voice calling your name from a place you didn't know existed. So next time you walk by a mirror late at night, next time you hear a knock from somewhere it shouldn't be, next time you see someone alone by the road, pause, look again, listen closely, and trust your instincts. Because these stories came from real people. People who were just like you, doing normal things, living normal lives, until one moment changed everything. And the scariest part is, could happen to you too.